competition, and of course, standing in front of him is a massive, massive favorite to make it out of this round of 36 play-in stage. In the red, in the top right side of the map, it's Shopify Rebellion's ByuN.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side of Hardwire, playing as the blue Terran, it is Percival. Now representing Team GP. Definitely a team to look out for in the future. Quite a few players in this open bracket they do have.
Yeah, a very good team there. Quite an early SCV scout going out as both players open up with double gas. Very standard these days. It's almost like a ooh moment when you see someone go for the quick one racks expand, because it is just so much more dangerous. And what I found really interesting recently, I'm not sure how it is in the EU meta, but a lot of the Korean players building lots of Reapers and Hellions, but not wanting to kind of overcommit into the opponent and lose, because if you run up a ramp or you walk into their arc, their concave, you can end up a little bit behind. So I've seen a lot of people kind of going with their Reaper Hellions, sitting on a high ground in the middle of the map and hoping it is the other player that kind of steps into them and makes that mistake.
Oh, a little bit of nerves maybe showing there from Percival. A little bit of a misplaced depot already, and that can start to get to you, you know. It's been a while since he got to play on the main stage in front of the entire world. I know he's played over there in the GSL and whatnot, but already, and then having your little factory blocked by a millisecond there. Oh, a little bit of a rough start, but obviously nothing called just yet.
Yeah, it's funny. We've been there in years past. You still are with Age of Empires and a bit of competing yourself as well. But honestly, it's something where when you get to a live event, controlling your nerves is everything. And this is the first game of the whole tournament. A few games in, it's going to be a different story. But already at the very start, Percival kind of canceling the depot, like you said. Let's see if he can gather it together now. He does get the first hit off, but pulls back there. Both players dodging the grenades. I
mean, the most interesting part is it's about the battle against yourself, because ByuN didn't know about those little errors, and like for Percival, as long as he just keeps on going now, it's like, okay, don't worry, mate, don't worry, you're still in it, you are the underdog and stuff, but you know what? He does have the toughest draw, so I think at this point, pressure's off his shoulders just a little bit, because he's got nothing to lose. Like, even if he comes out with a really good showing here, that's more than maybe most people would have given him credit for against the one-man army that is ByuN.
Indeed, the one-man army, famous for winning that 2016 World Championship and a GSL right before it. The first player to do that while teamless, without a team house or anyone to practice with. And look at this, double Reaper pressure comes in, but quick pull by ByuN. ByuN's got the reactor up earlier. His build order does give him a lot more production, so he's easily going to be able to match the Reaper Hellion production coming out of Percival. If Percival commits to an attack here, it'll be a big overcommitment.
Yeah, definitely. And here, he goes in a little bit deep here, and he's going to lose both these Reapers by the looks of it. And I was just looking at this production tab, Pig. Extra Reapers coming out for ByuN, so he's going up to the 7 number kind of thing, or rather the 5 number, and really gunning for these Hellions too. Getting a third gas a little bit later than his opponent, but he's going to be looking to throw Percival under the bus with the amount of
he's caught him on the retreat, Ben. The Reapers coming in with the flank. They're going to throw the grenades, but they are outnumbered, so actually that works out okay for Percival.
I've got to say, like, when that surround came in, that was a very ambitious surround, and this really throws a wrench in the cogs here, because that was not what ByuN was hoping for. Maybe a little bit of that, a bit too ambitious, but oh my goodness.
Oh, he does get a nice little fight there, and that's very necessary, Ben, because he's actually building a medevac, and he is going to 7+ Reapers. He's still pumping out Reapers and a medevac to join up with it. This is an insane commitment to aggression from ByuN.
Absolutely, by both of them. They've both been like, aha, I've got the edge, right? And it's like, no, I haven't. It's like one of those old school fencing fights, you know, we're both poking each other, but this is good damn damage, and this is exactly what ByuN needed after initially didn't look the best, but 4 SCVs do go down.
Not a bad bit of damage there. ByuN now up 2 workers, both players going into Cyclones, a unit that's going to scale a lot better. But the medevac will offer healing as well as the ability to lift up into that main base. I do think Percival's got the units he needs to defend, but if ByuN can kind of, you know, trick him a little bit, pull him out of position. Oh, that's really bad for Percival.
Did you see that lift up on the Reaper, by the way? The lock-on would have got that Reaper, quickly lifted it up. That's the kind of micro we expect out of ByuN. And this resources loss tab, it's not going to be looking good. He might be even forced to use a Raven turret here just to defend it.
Yeah.
That's not what you one.
Oh, and he just scoops everything up, saves it. Can't drop because of the siege tank. It looks like this is defended, but as you said, so efficient. Those units are going to be good kind of meat shield in the following fights. He's even rallying Marines across the map. ByuN, sensing that he's got an advantage, says there's no reason to stop. I've got the edge. Let's take this out right now.
Nice focus fire on this tank, on the Cyclone actually, not getting close enough, but the tank will eventually fall by the looks of it. Keeps the Raven alive, which is a nice move for Percival, but these 3 Reapers, they go uncontested now. I think this might be it, Pig.
Yeah, he's got Marines rallying in, more tanks coming across the map here for ByuN right now. He's building a 3rd command center on location at the same time, and he just picks up every time an auto turret goes down. It does nothing, it just forces him to lift, and he simply lands elsewhere.
Oh, mate. Like, this is really good play. Even getting one of the Ravens as well. Can we bring up that resources lost tab? Percival just managing to etch out that Raven, or rather the medevac there, but 10 SCVs go down behind all this, and all that aggression, all that being in your face, it just allowed ByuN, like you said, just to grow behind it.
We always talk about how attacking is a great way to kind of put pressure on your opponent and force mistakes out of them. Give yourself a bit of breathing room. Well, you're coming in as the big favorite here, up against a player who's obviously playing in a very huge event for one of the first times, and there's a lot of pressure on Percival. ByuN started this out putting on so much aggression, getting the advantage in the early fights. It's a nice momentum swing for him. He's now, of course, getting established on the barracks, the engineering bays, Viking production for Percival. So he's swapped, is it just a 1 Raven for Percival, or did he go 2? Whereas no. ByuN, I think, went for the full 3? No?
So Percival, because given that he's lost a Raven as well, he actually went for the full 3. So I'm not sure where ByuN put his resources into, actually. He's got a lot of gas to spend. He is whipping out his own Vikings now as well. So they end up in a pretty similar spot. We've got to remember that ByuN went for the medevac and not the triple Raven beforehand. So it does kind of all end up about the same, actually, at this point.
Great supply advantage for ByuN overall. If he can just stall this push out as he's doing with those tanks in the middle, that's great for him. The more time that goes by, that worker advantage will continue to build. And those barracks, of course, as they add the reactors, your Marine production starts to ramp up. And if you can get up to about 20 or 30 Marines with stim, combat shields, 1-1, the Ravens and the tanks aren't such an all-powerful unit.
Oh, that is a bit of a blunder here for ByuN. I think he's going to lose one of his Ravens. And it was the Raven with all the energy as well. So he's left with 1 Raven with nothing to spend. And if there's a moment for Percival, this is it, even though that army looks mighty small right now, but turrets are a great thing, Pig.
Yeah, it doesn't have many Marines, just a few more Marines might have made a big difference there. Looks like ByuN does just barely have the numbers. Auto turret goes down, his Vikings are going to be able to win the air fight. The Marines overwhelming those tanks on the ground, and ByuN holding on against Percival's push. He really wanted to get damage done here, did Percival, but instead it ends up being a fight that favors ByuN. Now ByuN ahead on the economy, the army, and with full map control. Percival's far behind in this map.
Oh, he certainly is, and ByuN looking to take a 4th behind all this as well. And you know, when ByuN gets up to his Marine tank composition, doesn't really have to worry about the Ravens and such. He's one of the best at this, and before you know it, he's up to 8 barracks, 2 factories, just pumping out units like 1-0, and he's got some of the best micro on this planet.
Oh, I love that 4th base on location behind it. And look at this, sneaky push comes around, engineering bay exposed, the tanks are going to get the siege. Oh, Percival does stim forward, he pulls the boys.
Oh, I mean, he knows he has to hold, but I think he is definitely going to hold here, and that was quite a valuable army for ByuN. But the thing is, every time that you pull these SCVs, that economic lead that ByuN has just ever growing, and we can see that production tab, 9 Marines at a time for ByuN. His supply still very far ahead. Even though it's a chaotic game, not a super streamlined, perfect game, you can definitely tell that this is where ByuN likes to mess around in the mud.
Yeah, when you're the one controlling the action, it's a good feeling. It's very hard to respond to things in StarCraft, and it's why we are so impressed when we see a guy like Maru or Raynor just handle all those punches just fluidly and smoothly. Oh, great Viking positioning from ByuN. This drop, uh-oh, the boosts are run out!
I think it's not going to get away, is it? It's not going to get away, and that was... just any sort of aggression that Percival's tried to bring out this game, it's just been thwarted. But he's being a little bit cheeky as well, putting the 4th on location, realizing that he has to do something a little bit Larry to get back into this. Upgrades finishing for both players. Combat shield exactly the same timing, but ByuN, you can see, starting is 2-2 ahead. So yeah, ByuN definitely in the driver's seat.
I do like the idea of doing some small low commitment drops, seeing if you can slow ByuN down, and really just slow him down from pushing you, right? Because you need to buy time as Percival. You're trying to gather up your forces, get that number to something close to parity, so maybe you can win with Defender's advantage. Planetary Fortress not quite up yet. The Marines find a small window, and they are going to get quite a few kills. Does want to save them this time, though. You don't want to be losing these Marines.
You know what? That was actually a lot more damage than I thought was going to get done. Like 10 SCVs down. We look at the SCV count now, 73 to 66. Not bad, but that army supply ever growing. And did ByuN, okay, he's definitely added his second factory, 2 tanks in production, and I think he's getting up to that very healthy barracks count as well. I saw he was trying to put one down to that 4th. It got cancelled, unfortunately, but Percival bought himself a little bit of breathing room.
Oh, he stims forward, looking to catch the army rotating, but when you're outnumbered with the Marines and the tanks, it's such a scary position. Percival pulls the boys. He's trying to get his tanks forward. Marines flanking from behind, actually get an angle on the siege tanks.
I tell you what, that flank was actually pretty good. Like, avoiding some of the shots here. Percival might just be able to hold, and ooh, I mean, like, any damage done is good for ByuN. Like, Percival, 17 SCVs down again, 50 against 83. How many SCVs have been killed this game?
Yeah, that is a lot.
36, I mean, that's a lot for such a short game.
And, you know, even when Percival did those 10 SCVs damage, he was still 10 behind after it. So more and more command centers coming down from ByuN, and he is controlling this TVT start to finish. It's a good confidence booster, a great warm-up game for the rest of his tournament run. Percival, I gotta say, is impressing me with his ability to hang in here, but he just does not have anywhere near the same numbers.
No, I mean, we've heard about cockroaches stay alive from nukes, but this is one nuke too many here. And ByuN just running in, murdering everything, and GG takes map 1 fairly convincingly, but what a scrappy map 1 it was.
Indeed. A rough start to that one there for the young challenger, but ByuN getting that early reactor up and utilizing that Reaper count, and he just did not stop. Once he started building the Reapers, he just kept on going. It wasn't the fastest starport with it or anything like that, but still invested in the medevac, and I feel like that's what we know ByuN for. It's the ability to have a handful of units in medevac and to drive his opponent insane.
Absolutely. Like, he's one of the best when it comes to unit control, let's be real. So those early game engagements, even though it looked like that flank was really cool with 3 Reapers, then it's like, wait a minute, that's like 2 Hellions you're running into. It's not that good, but managed to turn it around. You felt that Percival felt he got a little bit of an edge there, but just didn't anticipate what the follow-up was from ByuN. And I mean, ByuN did go for a little bit of a crazy opening, but not a bad first showing from Percival, because it's very easy to look like, oh my god, everything went wrong, but he was holding in there, and there were really, really chaotic situations.
Yeah, you got to think about, we get to see everything, but when you've lost a few fights in a row and the early game's behind like that, you have less vision in TVT, so you can't really see where the attacks are coming from. Every scan you use to spot their army hurts that much more because of the minerals that you're missing out by not using a mule. So the ability just to survive when you've got the opponent pushing forward, he's rotating between these different attack angles. Percival at no point made really any mistakes from behind, it felt like. It was like good, solid holds, doing the best with what he could. And that's what you like to see as a player. Maybe have a bit of a shaky start, but then kind of just dig in their heels, fought hard, made ByuN really work to finish off that game. And definitely the scoreline is what we expected, but Percival showing that he does have a lot of fight in him. Yeah,
not a bad player by any means. Like, ByuN for me, he's going to be a legend in a lot of StarCraft people's eyes, right? Like, we talked about his 2016 run, but then going to the military, coming back, his first tournament, the Aces ROG, it's like, oh yeah, I hope he does well. It's like, he wins the whole freaking thing, he beats Mario in the final kind of thing. It was like absolutely phenomenal what this man is capable of. And yeah, already got his military service out of the way, joined a good team in Shopify Rebellion, and he's here to stay.
It's right when everyone's sleeping on him. That's when ByuN gets riled up, I think. Oh, come on, this teamless guy couldn't do well. Wins a GSL, wins a World Championship. Oh, this guy's been in the military, hasn't been competing for almost 2 years. Bam, wins a Premier tournament the first moment he's back. And that's why we love him so much. He wears his heart on his sleeve as well. We've seen him, you know, head in his hands after some brutal losses and lows. And we've also seen him just elated and ecstatic, holding up trophies on those stages. It's impossible not to cheer for him. He's got that big following as a huge fan favorite, and it's always interesting to see kind of someone like that who's got such a history in the game. He's the obstacle now for the newer player, the young gun, the player who hasn't had anywhere near that level of success. It is intimidating for some. Percival definitely showed some fight later on in that first game. We'll see, is it going to be more non-stop action in the early game? Do you think they're going to just keep going at each other hard, Ben?
I think that's what these boys do, you know. It's like they grew up knowing how they like to play, and it is in your opponent's face. Very curious about what the opening is going to be this time, though. Like, obviously, we've seen TVT go through different phases where it's like, okay, it's 2 Ravens every time, then it's 3. Then it's like, wait a minute, I can make more Reapers, right? Oh, and a Hell, or rather a Medevac as well. But yeah, we'll get into Berlingrad here, and spawning over in the bottom right as our Red Terran, it is ByuN.
And in the top left side of the map, the challenger, the up-and-comer, this is Team GP's Percival.
Looking serious and focused over there is Percival, and so far, we have a slight deviation on openings here. ByuN opening up with the Barracks gas build, which came alive during a King of Battles one time, where it just turned into this is how you go for the 2 gas now, whereas Percival going for the gas first, then the Barracks, a bit more old school, but rock with what you know.
I think it's very good for an expand build, right? The gas first, because you're kind of towing the line a little bit between being super greedy and not, but you can still get up, you know, a pretty quick factory despite only having 1 gas geyser. Usually it does tie in, like I said, with a bit of a greedier expand build. There might be a window where if Percival chooses to skip the 2nd Reaper, goes Reaper straight into factory reactor, ByuN could run across the map with 2 Reapers and do a little bit of damage, but yeah, we'll have to see. Both players, of course, have shown aggressive tendencies so far.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing that's absolutely different this game, both of them went for a scout the previous game, right? Like the SCV scout and stuff. Here, neither one of them goes for it. So Percival going to be able to get away with this greed for now, because if you scout, you get to see this, you get to maybe make a few different options, and a while ago, we used to see a proxy starport on the map for a Liberator kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it went out of the phase, out of the map for a bit. But if he went up against like a proxy 2 Rax Reaper or just 1 proxy Rax on the map kind of thing, he'd have been in trouble right now. A lot of trouble.
I think we definitely see this become more common. There's certain players like Cure who you almost always expect to send the SCV scout out every single game. And there's guys like ByuN who traditionally does not like scouting. He's doing it a lot more recently because everybody knows ByuN so well and they try to catch him out with some cheeky builds, but he kind of mixes it in where he's like, cool, I scouted game 1, I don't need to scout game 2 because you think I'll be scouting. You're not going to proxy a couple barracks for Reapers. So he kind of like, you know, does about 50-50 these days, does try to obscure what he's up to now. With this sort of Reaper Hellion opening, it's probably not going to find much of an angle because we expect Percival do the swap around, pump out about 4 Hellions, maybe even 6 of them, should be able to defend a Reaper Hellion attack. And ByuN, if he overextends there, there's a few scary moments, right? Where if those Hellions are on top of a ramp, you run into them, the Hellions are faster than Reapers, they can chase you down.
You know what's funny as well? I think Percival, depending on what he goes for, he could even go for like that Marauder drop opening, you know?
Oh,
like, he definitely could. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but having quite a lot of Hellions seeing this opening where you're like, oh, I actually got away with quite a bit of greed here, and you know that you're going to have more Hellions than your opponent. And yeah, we do see a Marauder being produced on that production tab as well.
Clem used to love this build. It's such a nice one, isn't it? Because it does hit with usually 2 Marauders and a Medevac. You need to cancel... No. Oh, wow. That's so cool. He gets this all lined up so nicely. Is it 8 Hellions normally you dive with, right? On the natural, and you try to kind of drop the Marauders out and focus down like the Cyclone or the Siege Tank with them so they can't run away, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Marauders don't take too much damage from the Reapers and the Hellions themselves. They do a lot of damage to the Siege Tank. This Widowmine, he has to do quite a bit against this, but this is very, very aggressive from Percival. Like, I just watched the production tab.
Yeah.
He was stopping SCVs for quite some time, and he hasn't been scouted at all by ByuN. I don't even know if ByuN's like crossed the halfway mark on this map, but this is designed to do a lot of damage, and it's very good against the Raven openings.
To be fair, though, that Widowmine, I'm already getting a nasty feeling in the pit of my stomach, Ben. I have seen this build where the Medevac flies in to that Widowmine and just gets shot down by a few Marine or Cyclone hits. Oh, Percival, watch out!
I mean, that's definitely an unhealthy Medevac now, but oh my good, okay, that was a big lineup, but quite a few of the SCVs and the Mule getting away without losing too much here, but still quite a bit of damage from Percival. And behind this, Pig, going for double Viking production immediately, so skipping out the Raven. I think he's just going to play super damn aggressive this game.
Air superiority, right? Grab the air advantage, shoot down the enemy Ravens before they get in range to cast their spells, and just try to push with the tanks. That's a very wild style, and it's not like it's all in, right, Ben? He can still drop a 3rd CC on location behind that, add the extra barracks and so on, but we're expecting a push out sometime within the next minute. And because ByuN's been so trapped in his corner of the map, he really does need to get some information that this is coming.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think at the top of the map there, it is Vikings. He's got another 2 Vikings coming out. I'm curious as to where the next 2 Vikings are coming. They will be at this natural. And I mean, oh, that little sneaky Raven coming over here. Perfect timing by ByuN.
Yeah, going to be an annoying auto turret there. Doesn't give him any info on what he's up against, though. It just kind of gets a couple SCVs, denies some mining time. This attack is going to strike with a lot of surprise on the front. The triple Reaper run by that could actually catch him off guard.
It certainly could. Like, this is lining up to be chaos again. Because, I mean, Percival will probably get... Well, I mean, ByuN's probably going to get a little bit of counter damage here, but he had no idea about this. ByuN's positioning, though, with that tank especially, super good. Nice little lock-on with the Cyclone as well, just trying to get as much damage done as possible.
Whoa, the Reapers enter the main base, and another auto turret on the natural at the same time. As you said, Ben, chaos on all sides. Not many units popping out right now. The Marines there. The tank does come back. Those Reapers going to bounce back into the main, try and buy more time. And look at this, just trying to buy space and time for himself on the natural as ByuN. He's sieged up out front of it. It looks like finally the Reapers have gone down, but this has brought a lot of attention of Percival's back towards his base. Force that there. And in the meantime, what's ByuN focusing on? He's got Marines, tanks, and he's continuing to build Ravens. So he's not going to fight the Vikings, Ben. Do you think he tries to kind of flank those siege tanks with interference matrices or auto turrets?
I think so. Like, he's got 2 Ravens now, which is very, very decent. Oh, that poor Cyclone getting a little bit of a hit there. Oh, he's just going to go for the big cleanup, and maybe it's the right move. That medevac doing a good job picking up and getting away there for Percival.
Only 1 tank was here because they had to turn around to defend those Reapers. So that was really good understanding from ByuN, realizing, hey, you can't hold this position with just 1 siege tank. And he's creating a lot of room for himself right now. Room equals time. Time is what Percival does not have. He took a lot of economic damage there. He's very committed to Viking tank production. He's got to do something with these units before ByuN gets out those Marines and those Marine upgrades.
Funny choice by ByuN, right? Like, he said, okay, I'm going to be behind in Vikings. I'm going to be okay with being behind in Vikings for now. I'm going to clean you up in another way. So he avoided. He went for 3 Ravens against this, which is very, very curious. But he's getting a big grab around here, big. Interference matrices do go down, but lovely pickup by Percival. Actually is going to save at least one of the tanks. Oh! Failing to pick up one of these extra tanks here. One of the Marines took the slot, and these guys, F2, is that me playing?
We're out of here, man. Let us out. They try to walk through the ranks, pretending they're part of the Red Army, but no, they do not make it out. Percival is ejected from this position. The work accounts say they're equal. The supply looks equal, but you've got to keep in mind the fact that ByuN has those upgrades on the way. His bio is going to be getting stim and so on, but hey, check it out. A new angle found. Percival is not going to give up the momentum. He's adding his own barracks transition behind it, but for now, trying to siege up here. Big shots on the Marines.
I'm not sure that Viking land is what he's after here, Pig. That is a lot of damage. That is his one advantage in this game, and they need to lift up. No, a bit too late. The whole army cleaned up here, and you're totally right. I can't believe that tank stayed alive there, but the upgrades being on the way. Like, what's the stim timing at for Percival? Did he even start at this game? I don't believe so. Not at all. He's going to be so far behind.
Oh, that tank. That's the bait. We've all been there. A hatchery surviving on 6 hit points, a siege tank on 2 hit points, and you know it's such a risky decision, but you just can't stop it. As the player there, I've got to go back in and kill that tank, and he ends up losing a tank for it. Percival coming up short on this. This is a very, very good hold by ByuN.
Yeah, I like that you say that we've all been there. That was ambitious, to say the least, Pig. Ambitious. Like, oh, you got an army there? Okay, I got a tank. I'm dropping it right in front of you. Absolutely popped out of the sky. But, yeah, Percival, his head shook there a little bit. But look at this. These upgrades that are coming in. Like, ByuN actually went for a second tech lab on his barracks here for that combat shield. So it's going to be stim and combat shield against absolutely naked Marines. This is not what you want if you're Percival.
Oh, my God. 1 Bernie car just having an absolute barbecue in this mineral line as well. Finally, a Marine comes down and defends it, but very nice plays here by ByuN. His army's moving across. Remember, the 3rd command center is just finished for Percival as well, so he's only now being able to fully mine from this 3rd base. ByuN landed his the moment he pushed the pushback. So Percival, he's on the back foot. He's down in supply. His army is short on those upgrades. There's not a critical mass of Marines just yet for ByuN. So I like ByuN taking his time here, kind of marauding around, threatening, keep forcing Percival to scan. Give yourself another minute until these upgrades kick in, until you've got position. He's going to die for it.
Oh, does lose a tank there in the medevac, but now we're talking about it, Pig. These are well-upgraded Marines against absolutely nothing Marines. And look at Percival. well. His army looking so sad right now. The natural is infiltrated by a handful of Marines. A tank will deflect them to some extent, but this is not what you're going to be looking for. Percival needs time. He needs to buy time. He's actually resorting to Liberators here to try and hold things off. He's that desperate. Oh,
it makes sense, you know, if your opponent's just going bio, tank, marine, medevac, tank. Liberators are great for removing those siege positions, but it's just not enough. Too outnumbered there. And ByuN start to finish.